I'm doing well. Doing well. Nice to see you all.
Wow. Surprised we're allowing you in here with all the COVID cases you give us all the time.
We're doing our best in Brunswick to mitigate that.
Well, thanks for joining us.
You're live, Commissioner.
Travis, okay, thank you very much. I'd like to call this meeting to order. My name is Tom Coward. I am the chair of the Cumberland County Board of Commissioners. This is our Monday, December 14, 2020 meeting of the board. There is information available on our website about looking at the agenda and so forth. And if you're watching this on live stream, if you have public comments or questions that you would like to address to us, you may do so now and at any time during the meeting. If you email them to kennedy@cumberlandcounty.org. That's KENNEDY @cumberlandcounty.org. And we will check in periodically with Mr. Kennedy and see if there are any comments or questions that we need to hear about. So first off, I would appreciate a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of November 9, 2020.
So moved.
I see Councilor Jameson moves, Councilor Gordon seconds, and I'm going to just call the roll so we can get this down officially. All those in favor, Commissioner Cloutier?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Commissioner Witonis?
Yes.
Commissioner Jameson?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon? And I think that's a yes, and I vote yes as well. So that is approved unanimously. That's approved. I could read your lips when you say yes. That's about as far as I could go. So that is approved unanimously. Second is informational presentations, and County Manager Gailey, I'll turn this part over to you for introductions.
Well, thank you, Chair. I'm going to take things out of order this evening. On your agenda, it reads United Way funding report first and the Sheriff Joyce presentation second. I'm going to ask the Sheriff to jump right in here and present what he's asked to present this evening. So, Sheriff, it's all yours.
Thank you, Jim. I'm going to defer initially to Chief Stewart, former captain at the Sheriff's Office. He's been gone about 5 months now, but it was his idea for this award, and I think it's important that he make the first presentation. I'll follow up. Chief, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you all. Earlier this year, when we did our awards nominations, I nominated the entire HR department. I think each individual deserved credit for going above and beyond with the department in 2018, 2019, and a portion in 2020. And some of the examples that I cited in my write-up that I don't have in front of me, even though the sheriff sent it to me, but was just that on numerous occasions, the HR department literally, would travel an hour from the office to help somebody go over their benefits that couldn't make the trip to Portland. Was there with some deputies that dealt with some loss of some loved ones over the course of the year, and really went above and beyond. I can't say that enough. And I think that every time I picked up the phone, and I know every time that anybody from the administration picked up the phone, everybody that answered not only knew what was going on, but they're like a well-oiled machine up there. And I think that deserves recognition and credit. And I was happy to nominate them for that last year or earlier this year.
Oh, thank you very much. Question?
So,
go ahead.
I'll add on to that, relatively speaking, it's a small department, but I can tell you that anytime we reach out, whether it's an issue on hiring, discipline, termination, we need to fill a spot, promotions, understanding FMLA, understanding what the CDC says, they're always there. And if we have to leave a message, somebody always gets back in touch, in my opinion, within the hour. There might be others that it's a little longer, but generally I've heard nothing but the best for HR. So the Sheriff's Unit memo says in appreciation of your outstanding efforts you have exhibited for the employees of the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office in 2019. Your team is friendly, accommodating, and extremely customer-oriented. The HR team is always willing to explain recent case law, policy changes in easily understood terms, so there is little to no confusion. Your hard work during 2019 represents the highest standards of the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office. Thank you for your commitment to excellence. And that is what I'll be sending up to Don Brewer, hopefully tomorrow.
Can I add one other thing, Sheriff?
Sure.
Yes, please.
As you'll be happy to know that the town of Brunswick is still reaping the benefits of this HR department. They regularly get phone calls from me from time to time asking for advice. And a lot of times the calls start with, I know the answer, but can you just verify this for me? So thank you.
Can we bill Brunswick for that?
Last week, right? I've been kind of wondering.
Yeah,
Well,
checks in the mail.
we're trying to do HR for the county here, so for the community. So yeah, absolutely. Don, I'll give you the floor for a reaction to this.
Well, yeah, and I want to thank certainly Chief Stewart. First of all, it's awful good to see you again, Chief. It's been a while, and Sheriff Joyce for recognizing and your kind words about our HR team. I'll be the first one to admit that it's one of the finest HR teams in the state of Maine, and I'll put them up against anybody. They're very talented, they're very dedicated, and they really believe in what they do, and they put their best foot forward. And it is a tremendous team, and on their behalf, we thank you for this recognition. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, applause. Yeah. Other comments or additions to this? Commissioners, I'm more than happy to hear what you think.
Well, great job with Don, for you and your team.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dawn, whenever we've had to interact, you've been great. In fact, I've gone to Dawn a couple of times about some things for what's going on in the state and the MCCA, how the commissioners around the state may be able to work. And Don's never refused. He's always tried and come back with information, or he's come back with a sad face saying no.
We appreciate your dedication and commitment to everything in your job, and you make the county better every day. So thank you for your efforts.
Commissioner Cloutier, yeah, go ahead.
I'll say that it was a long time ago that I first ran into somebody named Brewer in an HR department, and I was delighted when he strolled in to become our chief here in the county, and I do think my personal interaction has proven how little I know about HR, but the people in the office have helped me a lot, and my family, and I certainly have known for many years that Don is a real talent, and it's not just what he knows and how he does it, but it's how he builds out his team and the morale of the people that are there. It's very commendable. It's something to see, and I'm glad the chief jumped into the middle of this, and this is a very well deserved recognition, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'll throw my 2 cents in here, which it gives me a really feeling of comfort and confidence that our HR department is so well respected. Don is respected. I think the rest of the people in there do a fantastic job. And it makes it's one less thing to worry about with the county, that things are in good hands. On a personal note, Don's helped me out. Don and his staff have helped me out on little minor issues about insurance coverage and stuff like that. And the comment about returning a phone call within an hour is absolutely spot on. I think that's really the best thing. So they're very customer focused and understand what they're doing. And for such a tiny department, in a relatively large organization, I think they do a fantastic job. So I'm really pleased that with the recognition.
Well, I'll just add that thank you, Sheriff and Chief, for recognizing the HR office. We have phenomenal people in that office, and they give their heart to us every single day. And during these COVID times, many of them working long days and even weekends. So a lot of credit to them. Though we have such a, I wouldn't call an HR office of 5 or 6 people a small office, but it is an office that has done a mountain's worth of work. And one of the biggest things that I see coming out of this office is bringing up the morale of the county employees. At a time that you feel as though morale could be going south, the cheerfulness and the witty staff, I would say, and yes, I used witty, but they keep things light. You never know what's going to be around the corner from them, and it's always a light environment that we have around here. And the morale I have seen in my few years here has increased, and it's largely because of this group. There's also the building of trust. We have over 400 employees, and those employees, they come from all walks of life, and the last thing they want is HR or administration telling them what to do. However, this group of individuals has gained the trust of our employees. So when they do say something, the employees listen, and they take it as the correct way of approaching things. And I can't echo that enough. These individuals in this office have the utmost trust from our employees. During COVID time, things shift on the dime here, and there's tough conversations that we have with employees, but the consistency this office has been moving under has gone a long way. And so I just want to thank them all for their efforts. And we have one hell of a team in HR. And thank you, Sheriff and Chief, for recognizing that.
Good. Thank you very much. This is well deserved. Mr. Gailey, back to you for the next item, please.
Okay. And those who are from the department, thank you for joining us. If you want to stick through the next 2 hours of a boring meeting, by all means. But other than that, if not, I'll see you tomorrow.
Otherwise, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, all of you, and feel free to stick around if you want, but feel free to go and do something more interesting, please.
Get to work.
Well,
task driver, yeah, we're gonna get it. He's gonna get his whip out pretty soon, and make sure you're back at the grindstone. So.
Well, thank you, Chairman. The next item on the informational reports and presentation section is just the annual report from the United Way of Greater Portland. As the commissioners are aware, the commissioners a few years back had retooled the way you handled human services here in the county. And we gained a greater and stronger partnership with the United Way of Greater Portland and funnel upwards of $100,000 their way on an annual basis. Part of that partnership that we explored with them was we needed greater accountability and better data tracking from those who we were serving with taxpayers' money. And this report, as you read through it, is the clear reason why we moved in this direction. I think you will find that the report addresses how the money is spent, who is benefiting from the money, and how or what type of uses are being benefited from the expenditure of that $100,000. So I thought it was important to put it on the agenda, not only for the public to see how the $100,000 is being spent by the United Way, but also updating the commissioners, as this report just came in within the last week and a half, and it is important as this is in a sense budget night, in the night that we asked you to approve the 2021 budget. And I felt as though it would be part of the dialogue, or at least your understanding that our partnership with United Way is beneficial and as strong as can be leading into 2021. So thank you.
All right. Any questions about this matter? I appreciate the report. It is in fact very interesting to see where our money is going, and also that we now are getting some level of accountability. Any questions or comments about this item? Seeing none. Next, I would go to Mr. Kennedy. Do we have any questions or comments from the public?
We've received one. I've shared it with the county manager and with you, Mr. Chair. How would you like for us to present it?
Let me take a look and see. Did you email it to me or?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I have it up right on my screen here. I can run down through the questions if you'd like.
Okay, if you would do that. I'm not
Sure.
seeing it yet on mine. Oh, here we go. Okay. All right. Mr. County Manager, could you read it and we'll discuss?
Sure. It is from George Walt. Hopefully I did not mispronounce his last name. He has two questions. The first is, what is the status of the county's involvement with the development of a new public safety complex that Portland City Manager has been recently briefing certain members of Portland City Council about that would hinge on the county's participation? Is there a timeline that is going to be shared with the county taxpayers soon regarding the design, construction, and financing of this facility, and who among the commission and its employees is overseeing this effort, and to what extent is it based on a comprehensive assessment of the county's existing and future space needs for those county functions that would make use of such a facility? Well, I'll pause there and address question number one.
Yes, please.
The county, as you're aware, went out for a space needs study approximately 2.5 years ago through a local architecture firm. They developed a study based on offices here in the courthouse, as well as the two satellite offices that we have down the street, the Department of Assessing and the Registry of Deeds. Their report generated a discussion with the county commissioners around the need to look at building a building to suit our space needs for today and for the future. Two sites were looked at. The first site was the paved parking lot next to the county courthouse, which used to be the home of the former jail until the new jail was constructed. And the second site looked at was the green space out behind the jail that fronts on the parkway adjacent to Mercy Hospital. The county has had a number of dialogues around our wishes and what campus to choose from, and we ultimately came to looking at the jail sheriff's office complex for many different reasons. One, it was cheaper to build down there, and two, it was closer to the majority of our employees. We have upwards of 150 plus employees at the jail and probably another 60 or 70 in the sheriff's office. That's not even including the facilities department that we have down there. That's probably somewhere between 10 and 12 individuals. So we have had off and on conversations around that parcel down behind the jail site. It was probably 6 months ago that the city of Portland and the county sat down. I believe it's only been one meeting so far. It was a member of the Portland's facilities department and police department, and representing the county was Bruce Tarbox, the facility director, and myself. And we just went through some ideas around a joint county building, police department, but nothing has really materialized from that. And coincidentally enough, I've been thinking about that over the last couple of weeks of maybe I should be reaching back to Portland to see where we are or where they are at this point. So that's kind of the history behind it. And as as you can tell, I don't have too much to elaborate on next steps because we kind of met, and I think it's kind of been on the back burner during COVID. So not much dialogue around it. So
Okay.
that is,
Thank you.
that's that. The next question is, when will the commission provide a thorough explanation to the public regarding the issuance, regarding the insurance issues that supposedly prevented the County Correction Center dormitory from being utilized as an emergency homeless shelter? It strains cruelty to believe that the city of Portland, which currently runs a large nursing home complex and airport, as well as the extensive municipal operation, including a large 154-bed homeless shelter, is balking at reasonable insurance requirements. The commission is not a disinterested party here, since as owner-operator of the Cross Insurance Arena, the commission may believe it would benefit greatly from behind-the-scenes efforts to purge the Portland Peninsula of the services that may attract the homeless and the indigent to the area. So I can add, I can address the whole insurance item. The county and its insurer initially proposed or hoped that the city would assume all liability associated with the use of the property as a temporary shelter. The city was willing to assume liability for its use of the property to the extent of the Maine Torts Claim Act and to the extent of the county's current insurance policy deductible. That left gaps in the potential liability exposure for the county related to the use of the property, and despite diligent negotiations, the parties were ultimately not able to agree on a mutual acceptable resolution way to cover those gaps. So that's in a sense what happened. There's nothing really more than that. It largely has to do with the liability under the Maine Torts Claim Act. And Portland not wanting to give up too much of their immunity under that, the Claims Act. So hopefully that answers the question enough. But that's pretty much what happened around the liability insurance item. So that concludes the questions from the public.
Okay, thank you. Any commissioners have any comments or any responses to the question? I'm happy to recognize you to do that. Mr. Cloutier, Commissioner Cloutier.
Yeah, just on the second item, actually, I think the manager did a good job of summarizing what is happening and what isn't happening related to building any new buildings or real estate development on the peninsula that might include the city of Portland or frankly any other regional providers. The second item, though, I didn't understand the reference to why we would be concerned about indigent people on the peninsula of Portland. I certainly am not. And that is a wider discussion that is mostly occurring within the halls of, or within the shadow at least, of Portland City Hall, because Portland has been attracting people who are in need of services, and that has created demand that everybody here knows about. I will say though that I thought the manager was very kind to the other parties involved when he discussed the insurance issue, particularly our own insurance carrier, who's going to be the subject of a discussion of an agenda item later tonight. We are insured by a pool, which basically is its own self-regulating insurance underwriting kind of operation. And we are required, if we want to give a 1-year notice that we wish to terminate our participation, or at least have the ability to terminate our participation and seek commercial coverage or some other coverage. And that's likely to be a matter of discussion. And based on anything I know, I suspect that the notice will be given. Some of that is in direct result of our dissatisfaction with what we thought we had for insurance coverage that was basically contradicted by that pool when we asked the direct question. The city and the pool had direct negotiations. There were lots of lawyers involved. The city apparently had some experience with people that they've been putting in hotels that made them think that the issue was more difficult than they would have basically imagined. So it became a more complicated tail to wag the dog than we certainly anticipated. We just last month passed a resolution urging the negotiations to conclude successfully and offering further assistance if that was helpful or needed, and it just didn't come to pass. I think it's fair to say that we were interested in trying to help people. We don't have the financial resources that are available to municipalities related to things like homeless shelters and homeless accommodation and that kind of thing. So there is monies available to cities and towns through the state general assistance program that we don't have access to. Something that might be worthy of a reexamination, frankly. But in the meantime, I, for one, think the insurance issue was very unfortunate in the way it was handled and how it came out.
Thank you. Other comments from commissioners? Yeah, my only comment, I would just generally support what Commissioner Cloutier has just stated. I think he's accurately stated a number of things. We certainly, I personally, and I think as this board, we are not interested in trying to exclude the homeless and the indigent from the peninsula in Portland. We are interested in serving all the residents of Portland, and we were as a body, we were very interested in trying to make this facility available to the city for the purposes of emergency homeless shelter. The county, the bulk of the county's activities, not quite all of them, but many of them are insured through a self-funded insurance pool run by 15 of the 16 main counties, plus the there's another member, one of the jail shared by a couple of counties. It's run by counties, 4 counties. It's done a wonderful job over the years of keeping our insurance rates relatively low, making insurance available when it's not. But I think in this case, I was very disappointed by the decision of that pool to really not be able to come to terms with on this particular question. So we will be discussing that later on in the meeting. I think if you interested parties, I think can certainly submit another follow-up question after that item, and we'll be. I'll certainly ask Mr. Kennedy to let us know if any further comments come out on this topic. So just know that we supported the commissioners here supported that initiative, and we are not happy with the outcome. But we have to deal with the situation that we have, and part of it is providing liability coverage for operations that the city and the county, or that the county shares in. So that's where that is. It was very, very unfortunate, not something that we were so far the result is not something that we've been advocating for. Any other commissioners on this? Seeing none, why don't we move on to the next item, which are the consent agenda approvals. And I'll read what those are. It's item number 20-080, accepting a 2021 driver sober or get pulled over grant. Item number 20-081, accepting a Bureau of Highway Safety grant. Item number 20-082, accepting CCEMA Homeland Security grant. And item 20-083, accepting the Sheriff's Office commissions for November and December 2020. item number 2020-084, accepting the proposed emergency arrest diversion plan. And finally, item 20-085, appointment of Holly Hancock and Joe Gray to the Cross Insurance Board of Trustees. Does anybody want to pull any of those off for discussion? Commissioner Witonis. Sue, you're muted. Sorry. You're still muted,
Sue.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Okay,
there you go. All right, you got it.
Is I like to pull off is 20-080 and 20-081. And the question I have, and Kevin, maybe you can answer this, but that I know in the past.
Can we stop for a second? I think you need to take a vote to take those two off the consent calendar.
Okay, yeah.
Well, we haven't had a motion for the consent calendar yet, so I want to see if anybody else wants to pull anything off, and then I'll ask for a motion to approve the numbers that are not, that Susan has not pointed out. Anything else that needs to come off?
Yeah, Tom, I'd like to have more information on the jail diversion plan.
Which is
084.
084, okay. Anything else? Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve item 20-082, 20-083, and 20-085.
Does that make
So
that?
moved.
I got a motion from Sue, and I'm going to take a second from Jim Cloutier. I'll call the roll on this. Commissioner Witonis,
Yes.
Commissioner Cloutier,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner Jameson,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Those are unanimous. So I'll open it up to a discussion of 20-080, which is accepting a 2021 driver sober or get pulled over grant.
Well,
And Sue, ask your question, and then we can have a discussion of this item.
well, they kind of both go together. It has in the reference in the amount that we will be paying to do that with detail. Does this with detail fall? Is that the $73 per hour? Or would this be a time and a half with detail? Because I know in the past, when we used to do this, it was a $60 an hour with detail. And I think, if I remember correctly, the state was not real happy with how much more money that we were paying out for this, with these two with details, which would be $73 an hour. So does that fall under that one, Kevin?
This was resolved with the last collective bargaining agreement,
Okay.
Negotiations with Teamsters. These grants are time and a half,
Okay.
and they're an extension of what I call the police duties
Okay.
of enforcing traffic. The ones that are considered outside details are the football games for schools, the dances, any security for traffic, road construction, stuff like that. Is the outside detail at $72.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, because I didn't want us to be penalized that if we were still going, to be doing this at the $72 an hour. So
no, we fixed that, and one of the thoughts is that the guys and gals are running from call to call, catch when catch can't. We get a lot of complaints about OUIs and speeding.
Yeah.
So this will allow people to go out at time and a half and just focus on those. So it's all worked out, and that should be good to go.
Okay, that's good. Well, that's what I wanted to hear. Well, thank you, Kevin, for that. So
Any further discussion? Was that on both?
yeah, that's on
both items.
Both of them. Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion of those two items? Could I have a motion to approve 20-080 and 20-081?
So moved.
Commissioner Jameson moves, Commissioner Gordon seconds. Commissioner Witonis, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Commissioner Jameson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner Cloutier,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, so that those two pass unanimously. And then we've got
084.
item number 20-084, accepting the proposed emergency arrest diversion plan. Was that Steve? Was that you that?
Yeah, I
wanted
just,
to talk about that?
what is
Sure.
it? I don't understand. Kevin, Sheriff, can you explain what this is?
Sure. The Maine Department of Corrections wants everyone to have a diversion plan. The one that I put forward for your approval is very simplistic. It basically says that if we ever had to shut down intake, much like York County did several months ago, that we would defer all of our arrests to York County. Now, if real life occurs, this allows us to say that we've got a plan. Real life, I'm going to quarter or separate the towns, regions of Cumberland County and send them to the closest jails. I think we'd all agree that a trip from Brunswick PD down to Alfred would be a long drive, but over to Wiscasset would be a short drive.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Androscoggin and Oxford County.
Okay, enough, I know.
Okay. Any further discussion or comments on this item? Could I have a motion to approve 20-084?
I'll make that
Susan
motion.
Tonis, approves. Steve Gordon seconds. Let's go through the other direction. Commissioner Cloutier, how do you vote on this?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Jameson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner Witonis,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes as well. That passes unanimously. Thank you very much, and thank you for the extra discussion on those items. I have to say I was puzzled by a couple of those too. Now, new business. The first is 20-086, codifying the county's policies, bylaws, and administrative regs. County Manager Gailey, I will turn this over to you. And you're muted. There you go. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. This item was originally brought to our attention by Commissioner Gordon at the beginning of this year, that this is the 10th year since the county's charter was developed and approved. And there's some language within the charter that requires the county commissioners to codify policies, bylaws, and admin regs. What does that entail? Well, that made staff and certain committees look at what we had in place for policies, for bylaws, and for administrative regs. As the commissioners are aware, over the last number of years, one thing that we have done is updated some of the policies and bylaws. In addition, the Cumberland County Regional Communication Center is constantly updating their policies because they need to abide by state mandates for dispatch centers. And with the accreditation of the jail and the sheriff's office, those policies are constantly updated to keep them fresh because of review that we have every now and then. Every few years, we have reaccreditation happening. And so those have been updated as we go through, and we actually have staff doing the updating of those policies, and that's their sole function down at the jail and the sheriff's office. As it relates to here at the courthouse, as you know, the non-union personnel policy has been updated 2 or 3 times in the last 2 years. The county administrative regulations had a complete overhaul of the document, and that has been updated in March of 2019. Getting over to bylaws, the county commissioners have updated their bylaws recently, and that was reflective of our desire to move to a fiscal year, July to June, and then we ended up amending them again to go back and revert course on that because of the need to give towns a little more time because of the COVID year that we're living underneath. We've also updated the Cross Insurance Arena Board of Trustees bylaws. And then there are a number of bylaws. One is in modification right now by a subcommittee, and that is the Regional Communication Centers bylaws. There's a small subcommittee that are looking at refining those bylaws. I believe at one workshop, the county commissioners saw some of their work, but the committee is not final yet. And so this evening, I'll ask you to codify their existing document, but with the knowledge that within the first quarter of 2021, you will be looking over a revised document from that group. We also have the Board of Assessment Review. There's no needed changes there. That is largely state statute that dictates their process. And we have the Municipal Oversight Committee, which handles the CDBG and home funds, and there's no needed changes in that document. And I believe I may have touched upon it all. So with that long hodgepodge explanation of what we have done and what we haven't done, I would say that this item is in order, that the policies, the bylaws, and the administrative regs are in order for codification for another 10 years by the county commissioners. I have put a motion on the position paper if anyone wants to make that motion, but I'll stop here to answer any questions that the commission may have. Thank you.
Questions, comments, thoughts? Have we, oh, sorry. Okay. Just Commissioner Cloutier, sure, go ahead.
I move to adopt the recommended motion of the county manager is included in his report to recodify these documents.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this motion? See, yes, Commissioner Cloutier.
Just very briefly, I think actually the manager already said it anyway, but just to reiterate, because we're able to do this in 30 seconds over, I don't know how many 100 pages of documents, does not mean these things have not been laboriously studied. We've had many an evening where we kind of parsed our way through this stuff, and it is in, it was not in great shape a few years ago, and I think it is in good shape now.
Any other questions or comments? I will add that, I mean, we have put in many hours. I mean, just for people watching this video, this is not a 30-second decision that we're making. This is the result of months of meetings and hours going over these things, either as a group or individually, and pointing out stuff that needs to be here and doesn't. What this does is essentially makes this the official version of all of these rules and regulations, so that if we get into issues of enforcement or issues of procedure or issues of whatever, it's clearly documented for the next bunch of people who come along. I mean, none of us are going to be in these seats forever, and what this is doing is saying this is where we are, and as things come up and things change, we can adopt, we can amend, we can do all sorts of other things. And we got a date with our future successors in interest for 10 years from now, when they will review all of this and potentially update and upgrade just to make sure this goes. This is essentially one of the boring, tedious functions of government, to make sure that it functions properly. So this is what we're doing. Any other comments on this? If not, I'll call for a vote. Commissioner Witonis?
Yes.
Commissioner Jameson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cloutier?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. That is unanimous. Mr. Gailey, thank you so much for this, and thank you and your staff for all the work you put into this. This is the sort of thing that we couldn't do efficiently without a lot of people actually doing the work, and we get to sit back and criticize and comment and polish a little bit. And it's also something that we've got several years now where we can just I hope, just tick along and use this as the reference for how this county's government works. Next is 20-087, extending the county's emergency declaration. And Mr. Gailey, if you would tell us all about that.
Thank you, Chair. April 1st of this year, the county commissioners adopted a declaration of emergency. Boy, what if we knew now? If we knew then what we know now, wouldn't that have been one bit of information? However, that declaration of emergency was sunsetting at the end of July. At the July 21st meeting, the county commissioners again met in public session and extended the declaration to December 31st, 2020. Again, back in July, we thought we were coming out of the woods here, and that by December 31st, that would probably be the last time that we would need to have this. And we were even talking about we probably could vote to discontinue this declaration well in advance of December 31st. Well, unfortunately, our region has not caught up with our comments or our wishes. And we find ourselves, I say, in worse condition today than we were April 1st when we thought the sky was falling. So I am asking you, and I won't go through the emergency declaration, but it's 95% the same language as you've seen the last two times. I've amended and updated some of the cases and deaths. And those have even gone, and those are old numbers, as I created those last week when I put this document together. And as we all know, things are ticking up quite fast every single day that passes. So at this time, I feel as though this has been a good tool for the county executive staff and departments. And I'd ask you to consider extending it once more. This time, I'm asking you to extend it to April 30th, 2021. And hopefully this would be the last extension. Hopefully we're coming out of the woods, but you never know. But I think covering ourselves for the next 4 months would be very beneficial. And I'd ask the county commissioners to adopt this or extend this declaration of emergency over those 4 months so that we can operate under the quickest and safest protocols needed to address COVID-19. Thank you.
Commissioner Cloutier.
I'll move passage of this item.
Commissioner Witonis.
I'll second it.
Seconds. Discussion. Commissioner Cloutier.
I have a feeling we'll be doing this again in April, but
Yeah.
you know, we can always hope.
Yeah, we'll have an April meeting for that one as well. Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, I was going to address it the other way around. I would like to see it moved into June. If you look at what's going on with the vaccines and the predictions of trying to get the herd immunity and those specific issues, I would hope that on April 30th, we would be able to say yes, but I don't believe it. I don't think we're just dusting in the wind here. I would rather see us move it on, and then if things calm down, we move it back because Jim's got the plan. Our department heads have got the plan, and to have knowledge that you got 6 months that you've got a plan for this, I think is appropriate. I'd like to see us give that some sort of consideration.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? Yeah, I mean, a couple of things on this. One is, I personally am tired about people talking about this being a hoax. Our friends and neighbors are sick and dying from this pandemic. And, we in county government have never felt that was the case. And we have taken appropriate action several times during this for emergency declarations and so forth. And I'm very happy that we are continuing to do that. And for what it's worth, I don't think Mainers particularly, or particularly in this part of Maine, actually are, protesting too much. My reaction when I go to the grocery store, I rarely get out of my house anymore, but when I go out, go to the grocery store, everybody's got their mask on, everybody's keeping their distance as best they can. I think I think the community is taking it seriously by and large here. And I think this, I'm happy that the county government is doing that as well. I'm happy with the April extension to April. I suspect that we will be having a discussion again. Somebody wants to move for an amendment to extend it to the end of June or something like that. I'm not going to vote against that. I think April is fine, and we can recalibrate then. I suspect, and I agree with a couple of people have already said, we're going to be in April, we're going to be saying, yeah, we need some more months on this. I think by then we should have some idea about how this is going. We've got a lot of new things on the horizon, a new vaccine, several vaccines, new federal administration that might take this thing more seriously than that has been done in the past. But County Manager Gailey, thank you for bringing this up. It is certainly timely, and I think your little tweaks to this make sense, and I'm going to support this. Anything further? Yes, Commissioner Jameson.
Just briefly, I would defer to County Manager Gailey's recommendation. I think April 30th is keeps us in line, at least with their plans. There have been our eyes and ears on the ground.
Yeah.
And so I would follow Jim's lead.
Anything further? I'll call the roll. Commissioner Jameson.
Yes.
Commissioner Witonis.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
Commissioner Cloutier.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. That passes unanimously. Thank you very much, and thank you for your work on this, County Manager and staff. Next is item number 20-088, approving the 2021 County General Fund budget. Manager Gailey, I'll turn this over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Travis, way ahead of me. Thank you, Travis. We are happy to bring forward the 2021 General Fund budget. I believe the county commissioners are well versed in how this budget has been put together. We have had a couple of workshops over the last month and a half after the Finance Committee had finished their work and voted a positive recommendation to adopt the budget that was before them. We have, in the last month, done some tweaks to this budget. The tweaks are for the better. And they push down the percentage of needs for taxes to the extent that we are in a negative number for the general fund and for the cross insurance arena. However, we're at 1.62% for the jail. How did we do that? Well, we are working through doing some forecasting at the end of the year. Alex Kimball has been ongoing in terms of forecasting what our 2020 budget is going to end at. And we feel as though we have some available surplus in the 2020 for two reasons. The first is that we have had a spending freeze on since April. And we have also seen historic highs in recording fees at the Registry of Deeds, which our revenues have exceeded what our budget was. So we're asking, and I will read down through the motions in a minute, but one way that we have reduced the tax impact to the citizens of Cumberland County this year is that we're asking the county commissioners to appropriate $400,000 into a tax stabilization account. This first year, 2021, we'll use $200,000 of that $400,000. Year 2022, we'll use $125,000 of that, and then year 2023, we'll use $75,000. So we're kind of doing a step down over 3 years so that we don't create a major hole in our budget, nor do we create a big obstacle next year when we try to develop a budget. We also have shifted some capital costs that were originally proposed in the 2021 budget, and moved that into being paid for by 2020 money. And that totals $367,100. And so those two items right there really sent the tax rate down for the positive. And I'd like to run through some slides right now just to show how those two have worked out through the budget process and how we finished up and what we're proposing the commissioners to act on this evening. So this first slide is talking about total budget expenditures. As you can see, the county expenses, which is the general fund, that's up $91,000. The jail is up to $546,000, which really it says 2.69% there, but when we get down a couple of slides, that's maximizing the 4% cap that the state statute allows us. And the cross insurance arena is negative $57,000. And that's largely because at the first of this year, the county commissioners voted to allow staff to go out and refinance the cross insurance construction bond. And that refinancing, at the time, we hit a significant historic low in borrowing. And we were able to capitalize, and the county will see benefits over the next number of years of that refinancing. And I owe Alex a lot of credit for really hunting that down and running us through the process. It took a number of months of on, off, but he hit it right back in February, and the county is going to be better for it in the future. So our total expenses between those three categories it's up 1.24%. We add the enterprise funds and the grants, and we come with a total expenditures of just $458,151, or 0.77% increase. Next slide. This is the jail expenses and revenue. As you can tell, we are proposing no change in the revenue from 2020 to 2021. The expenses, on the other hand, are going to go up $546,045, or 4% as state statute allows. The question may be, why are we not adjusting our revenues to reduce that $546,000 increase? Largely because we feel as though our revenues are right where they need to be. If anything, they may be a little lower, but we're willing to give the chance that 2021 tells us differently. So that's why we are proposing the expenses that we are. Next slide. This is the cross insurance arena budget. As you can see, bond principal and interest is down over $116,000. The revolving line of credit's down over $39,000. Operationally, we're up just over $98,000, for a totality of a negative $57,721, or negative 1.65%. Next slide. Here is the totals needs from taxes. As you can see, the county general fund budget is down $66,057, or 0.40%. The jail is at the 4%, as previously talked about, and the cross insurance arena is at the negative 1.65%, as previously talked about. Taking all this into account, the total needs from taxes is $422,267, or 1.26%. Next slide. The debt, capital, and tax anticipation note in totality is down $239,554, or a negative 14.72%. Next slide. Our human service and grants. The human services and grants is down $11,000, or negative 3.84%. Next slide. Here are just some of the capital that we're proposing for a small bond that we'll be putting through at the jail. 600,000 towards the roof. We got 150,000 going to a fire alarm system at the jail, 150,000 to a radio system at the jail, and $150,000 towards window replacement at the jail. We then also have $1.2 million going into the stateside court improvements, which would include new windows and modifications to air handler 1. That $1.2 million, though it will be bonded, the first couple of years of that bond, the state will be contributing upwards of $80,000 towards that bond, and that $80,000 will take care of the first couple of years of our bond payments, paying off that bond. So in totality, we're going to go with a $2.15 million bond that will be issued sometime in the summer of 2021. Next slide. I won't read down through it, but here are some of the capital items that we moved out of the 2021 budget and slid over into 2020 money. In totality, it's $104,375. Next slide. We also had further cuts, and the grants of human services was a reduction of $15,000. And we cut $40,000 of the public referendum account. And then we found that we had a duplicate in the HR office on the ID card printer. And so we removed that out of the budget as that had already been purchased, and there was no need to keep that in the 2021 budget. So we had additional cuts just over $67,000. As I previously mentioned, we're going to be putting $400,000 of 2020 funds into a tax stabilization account. 200,000 of that would be applied to the 2021 budget, 125,000 to 2022 budget, and 75,000 to 2023. In 2024, we should be all set with the step down and be ready to move away from this tax stabilization account. Next slide. And that concludes my presentation. I want to thank the commissioners for all your help and guidance over the last 3 or 4 months on putting this budget together. It is a budget that I feel provides a responsible budget to the taxpayers of Cumberland County, but at the same time keeps the lights on here at the county offices and allows us to do some items. Maybe not everything we wanted to do, but we're in special times right now, and I believe this budget reflects that. So thank you, and I'd be available to answer any questions that the commissioners have.
Yes, questions or comments for the county manager or the finance director for that matter? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve this budget.
Mr. Chairman, could we, as
Yes.
always, we have a pre-developed order, and it was in your packet. And so we can do one of two ways. If the commissioners don't have it readily available, I can read down the orders or the motions, and you can vote on that, or one of the commissioners can do the motion.
I'll be happy to read them. Commissioner Cloutier, sorry, I see your hand up.
I was volunteering. I have it on my desktop here. I have the 4 motions. So if nobody else can do it, I'd be glad to read them off.
I'd be happy to yield the floor to Commissioner Cloutier to read motion number 1.
So the motion is that the county commissioners authorize the creation of a budget stabilization fund to be used to reduce property tax burdens in current and future budget years, and that $400,000 be appropriated from unassigned fund balance to the budget stabilization fund.
Do I have a second for that motion? Commissioner Witonis seconds. I'll call the roll. Commissioner Witonis. I see her, so I'm reading her lips. She says yes. Commissioner
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Jameson.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner Cloutier.
Yes.
The chair votes yes, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Commissioner Cloutier, if you could read motion number 2. This is the one with all the numbers in it. So
Motion that the county, sure, that the county commissioners authorize appropriation of available unassigned fund balance in the amount of $367,100 to be transferred to the County of Cumberland's non-debt CIP fund for the following projects: $100,000 for replacement consoles for CCRCC, $45,000 repairs to floor and front desk Community Correction Center, $42,800 purchase replacement night vision scopes for law enforcement, $65,000 continue efforts to establish regional programs and services, $40,000 to replace county servers at the end of their useful life, $30,000 redesign of County Cumberland website, $15,000 to replace drone for law enforcement, $12,000 update Acorn recording software for CCRCC, $10,000 to purchase emergency response clothing and equipment for law enforcement, and $7,000 to purchase emergency use quad phone for law enforcement.
Outside.
I would propose a friendly amendment to that. I think the number for the first replace consoles for CCRCC is $100,300.
I accept that, of course, as a friendly amendment, I think they call it presbyopathy when you can't quite see what you're looking at.
And does the second approve that change?
Yes.
Second approves that change. Okay, good. I didn't want that to, I mean, this is now recorded. So a year from now, somebody will bring it up and saying we're spending $300 that we shouldn't have spent. So I'll call the roll. Commissioner Cloutier.
Yes.
Commissioner Jameson.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon. I read his lips. Commissioner Witonis.
Yes.
The chair votes yes.
Yes.
That passes unanimously. Thank you. Now, Commissioner Cloutier, if you could read motion number 3.
This is a motion that the county commissioners approve the 5-year capital improvement plan in the amount of $332,100 for budget year 2021.
Do I have a second for that one?
Second.
Second, but from Commissioner Gordon. I'll call the roll. Commissioner Jameson.
Yes.
Commissioner Witonis.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
Commissioner Cloutier.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes as well. That passes unanimously. Next is motion number 4. And Jim, could you read that one, please?
Motion that the county commissioners approve the 2021 general fund budget in the following amounts: for county expenditures, $23,141,937. For jail expenditure, $20,579,182. For the cross insurance arena allocation, $3,430,474. Recognizing revenue of $12,886,408. Use of stabilization account, $200,000 even. Tax assessment of $34,065,187. Also, enterprise funds with an allocation of $9,698,974, and grants in the amount of $3,094,100. The summary budget from all sources, gross amount $60,097,295. Move past.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Again, Councilor Jameson seconds, or Commissioner Jameson seconds. And I'll call the roll. Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
Commissioner Witonis.
Yes.
Commissioner Jameson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cloutier.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, which makes that unanimous. Congratulations, Manager Gailey. You've got your budget for the next year.
Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it.
And we appreciate your efforts. I mean, once again, the budget is the boring thing that has to be done, and it takes an attention to detail that that I lack myself, and I'm happy that I'm happy that you guys are taking care of this. But thanks to you and your staff. I think this has been a very nice, clean budget process. And I'm very proud to say we have been able to lower the tax rate for, for our the county municipalities. And we have had, I would note, we have had some pushback from a little bit of pushback from, heads of municipal governments. And we listen to that, and we've tried to address it. So this is our effort. We have to maintain, essential services, but we also know that these are tough times all around. So this is our bit toward doing that.
And Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman,
yes.
if I could just add, I did reach out to that individual that expressed some concerns with our budget initially, and let that person know of the changes that we were making over the last month and a half, and what you were going to be looking at this evening. And they were very appreciative of the county commissioner's work on reducing the impact to the citizens of Cumberland County.
Okay, good. No, that we don't have a lot of official dialogue between us and the municipalities. So it's good that we do have some, it's good that you've followed up on that, and it's good that we have had that contact. So thank you. Any further comments on this item? Seeing none, I'm going to move on to 20-089, which is authorizing the 2021 tax anticipation note. Is this going to be the last one of these that we do, or are we going to have to do another one next year?
We'll be going a couple of full ones in the next year or two, but then as towns decide on how they want to pay, it will go down over 5 years. But we have to make that official change first, and then it will start going down. But we don't have too many more years at full value of 14.5 million.
Yeah, and just for people who may be watching now or in the future to this, the issue is our fiscal year is out of sync with most municipalities, and we've been working for several years on getting us in sync and adopting a fiscal year instead of a calendar year budget, which is a tremendously and fantastically complicated process that we have to go through. When you come out the other side, you end up with a bunch of things like our budget years meet up with the municipalities that we depend on for revenue. And as a side product of that, we probably don't have to do tax anticipation notes, or at least not to the extent that we do now. So this is once again, this intricate process we have to go through to get from where we are to get to a slightly better place. And we try to look out for those opportunities, and this is one that we're working on. So thanks. So go ahead with your presentation on the tax anticipation note, please.
Sure. Again, this year, we will be going through a full tax anticipation note. For 2021, we will be looking at borrowing $14.5 million, which is the same amount that we borrowed for 2020. The strong budgetary performance of 2020 would have reduced the amount needed for 21 cash flow if it was the only factor. However, payments from the state of Maine and municipal warrant payments all shifted slightly later in the summer, making the deficit at the end of July deeper than what had been otherwise. And so we are looking at needing to raise some cash still, and we're asking for the county commissioners to authorize the treasurer, which is Alex, to go through the formal process of working through a tax anticipation note in the coming weeks. I know Alex has been bouncing emails back and forth between the powers of be to help those who help us get to where we need to be, and we have an upcoming ratings call coming up. And so the amount budgeted for the interest in 2021 is $120,000, which is $30,000 less than the prior year. So the item is in order, and before I kick it back to the commissioners, I'll ask Alex if he has anything that he'd like to add around this.
I'd say you nailed it.
I think I took all of his thunder.
Okay.
Me talking to us is always good.
Yeah. Do we need to read this order into the record, or can we just move to pass the order as
written?
So do we have to read it in, or can we just pass it as written? Okay.
As written.
All right. Thank you. I'm not sure who would volunteer for that. So could I have a motion? Could I have a motion to pass the order presented in the materials for the meeting?
So moved.
That was Commissioner Cloutier moves. Can I have a second? Commissioner Gordon seconds. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Gordon. I think that was a yes. Sorry.
Yes.
I've been reading lips all night. I will continue to do so if needed. Commissioner Witonis.
Yes.
Commissioner Jameson.
Yes.
Commissioner Cloutier.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes as well. So that passes unanimously. Thank you very much, and thanks for your work on this. May we not have too many more of these.
It will be that 5 to 6 years gradual step down on this. This is going to
Yeah,
be.
and they'll be lower and lower, and we'll eventually get to where we save a lot more money. So thank you.
And future versions will be very happy that we did this for future versions of us.
The feedback I get from counties that have done this is that it's the best thing they ever did. And I'm not sure, I think that's probably overstating the case a little bit, but I think it will certainly make us go a little less crazy when we're doing budgets. So thank you for that. All right, next is item number 20-090, authorizing staff to go out for bid for general liability insurance. Manager Gailey, I'll turn this over to you.
Thank you. This is as a result of past discussions on November 9th and November 30th. Discussions taking place largely around our inability to sign an agreement with the city of Portland, which brought up multiple concerns of not only staff, but some commissioners. And on the November 30th workshop, the commissioners directed staff to put something on tonight's agenda, authorizing staff to give the risk pool a 1-year notice that the county of Cumberland, will be going out for public bids on our insurances to start January 1st, 2022. And so this item is just for commissioners' vote. And the motion is authorize staff to seek bids for the county's liability insurance and to provide notice to the MCCA risk pool. So that's what I got, Chairman.
Okay. Questions, discussion?
Move passage.
Yes, Commissioner Cloutier moves passage. Do I have a second? Got a second from Commissioner Gordon. Discussion on this item. Yes, Commissioner Cloutier.
I think anyone who's interested in this topic and sees this meeting now or later should understand and remember that we have explored this in the past and have always deferred to the impression that adding our considerable revenue and underwriting impact to the statewide pool was an important consideration for supporting the activities of other elements of government in our state, specifically, of course, counties, some of which do not have anything close to the number of departments or employees that we have, and would really be reliant on having some larger participation from places like Cumberland County. But we've already had a question tonight about what happened with a jail that could not be used as a homeless shelter, even though we had it was a low security jail, of course, the Community Correction Center, but it was basically a 40 room living space, and apparently we ran into some ideas about functioning of public buildings that don't square with what many of us think and believe and have practiced for many years, actually, in the southern part of the state. So I think it's with some reluctance because of the importance of our participation to other people that we approach this, but it is fairly necessary. This is the 21st century, so we need to deal with the problems that our citizens have, and one of those problems that our citizens have is related to acute shortages of housing and economic distress in some quarters, and how we can ameliorate that in practical and useful ways. So it doesn't mean necessarily that we will a year from now decide that we know what we want to do, and it doesn't involve this kind of cooperative opportunity, but we need to give the notice so we can explore the finances of doing other things. We did that once before and did not find that we were overwhelmingly benefited by the finances of this operation. So it really was a spirit of cooperation more than anything else that induced us to stay involved with this. But what happened was a symptom of possible other problems that we could have in the future, and certainly was a rebuff to people that needed some pretty substantial help. So I'm in support of this.
Other comments? Commissioner Gordon, I'd specifically call on you. You're currently the president of the Maine County Commissioners Association,
Right.
And I know you've been in the risk pool meetings. Do you have some insight or comments on this item?
Well, Tom, as you recognize, I carried the message to the risk pool that we needed to have their help so that we could open up this facility, in that they were our insurer. And the risk pool debated the issue, and they thought that the risk was too high for the pool to accept the issue, other than the way that the manager of the risk pool dictated. And that I was a little bit saddened by. And the reason is that there's been many times that many of the counties have reached out. They needed additional assistance, and the pool has assisted them. Now, in many of those cases, it was in the methodology that it was a dollar value. But in this case, we asked them actually to take the risk. And I, in my own head, said to myself, well, if they had to buy insurance to cover the additional risk, it would not amount to what they have given other counties in a matter of assistance. They did not agree with that. They did not see that the county needed to take the risk, and the risk pool didn't want to accept it. The issue that I felt badly about was that here we were trying to work with another municipality. In this case, it was the city of Portland, who was trying to help people and citizens of the state that were in need of assistance. And some of them actually were from the other counties. I mean, that's the way the benefits draw people to the city. And they couldn't make that recognition, and thus would not assist us. So where I think Jim has mildly pointed out, I'll point out bluntly, is I think that we give them the notice, and we can see and weigh at the end whether it is appropriate or not, and then make that decision whether we stay in or stay out.
Yeah, thank you. Other comments? All right, oh yeah, Commissioner Jamison, go ahead.
Yeah, just very briefly, Tom. I think it's prudent and our responsibility to our constituents that we pursue at least an estimate of perhaps a more economical rate at the same type of service as both Jim and Commissioner Gordon have said. We can still stay with the risk pool if the bids we receive are not competitive or not even or relatively close. But we owe it to our constituents to pursue a better economic plan here.
Okay. Thank you very much. My comment, not to repeat too much, but my comment for people who may be watching this, I mean, commissioners, county commissioners in Maine are all familiar with the risk pool because we've been, most of the counties have been insured under that arrangement for decades. It was started decades ago when the insurance markets were such that some of the counties, especially smaller counties, couldn't get insurance for their operations at all. So this meant the sheriff's department couldn't get insurance for the cruisers or the liability insurance for running a jail, which is a very, as you can imagine, very risky operation. And so the risk pool was formed to essentially become what is in effect an insurance company specifically for counties. And it's been extremely successful at what it's done over the years. It saved counties a lot of money. It's covered risks that were otherwise uninsurable and so forth. So it's been a very useful thing. The Cumberland counties participated in it for many years. It is an organization that is run by the counties. I've been on the board for a number of years. I think Steve Gordon certainly has gone to a lot of the meetings. I think you're certainly the alternate now, and I can't remember whether you've actually been on the board formally or not. And it has some advantages. One is that it covers counties for their normal operations. Another advantage is that the people who decide what to do with claims that come up are, county personnel. The board or the members of the board are all county commissioners or, people representing counties. And so we meet monthly, we discuss claims, we approve settlements, and we have it's a very county focused sort of approach, which is something that I would be, if we come to the end of this process and decide we want to leave the risk pool, I'm not going to say I'm sad to do it, but I would just remember that we kind of lose a lot of control over how our claims are processed at that point. So, I mean, that's a bit of the background. However, Cumberland County is always an outlier in Maine. We're the largest county. Our county, I mean, we're roughly 20% of the state population. We are 50% of the general assistance budget for the state, which, as I read in the papers, which means that what's happening in the state is that people run into problems in their communities and so forth, and they tend to gravitate toward the big cities. We've got the biggest city in Maine, and we've got, I think, probably the third, fourth, and fifth biggest cities too. Maybe, that may be overstating the thing a little bit. And so we as a county, I think we on the county commission, board of commissioners here have taken to heart the proposition that we are actually looking out for a lot of the issues that come up across the state that tend to gravitate toward Portland. And this last go round with this issue with the city of Portland, where even within Cumberland County, issues, homelessness and so forth, issues that arise in the county drain toward Portland. We're trying to help them, and we find ourselves stymied by what I thought would have been the last, the least likely aspect is, can we get insurance for this? This is what has prompted, in my mind, the idea that we should reevaluate our situation. The first step is what we're proposing tonight, which is, if we decide to go our own way, what's it going to cost? And I think I fully support the idea that we need to go out. I'm not sure what decision I'll make a year from now at the end of this, but we need to look into it. We owe it to our taxpayers who have to support this, and we owe it to the communities that we serve. So I'm fully in support of this. Any other questions or comments or whatever? And I'll call a vote now. I'll start with Commissioner Jameson.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon.
We're not the type of people that sue.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Witonis.
Yes.
Commissioner Cloutier.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So that passes unanimously. Commissioner Manager Gailey, it's your ball now. So do what you need to do.
I'll run with it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll jump in and mention just one quick thing on timing. Even though we're doing this so far in advance, it'll most likely be in the summer that we start getting the actual auditors out there and the assessors that come around and mostly check out the jail and do tours of the jail. And for obvious reasons, not a while, but waiting until things are a little safer before we do that would also make some sense.
I appreciate, I mean, that's the reason we have to do this a year in advance, right? Because there's a lot of work. This isn't just some light decision that we take because we're mad about some particular decision that the risk pool has made. This is something that's a process we got to go through. And,
yes,
and we have to decide. We're building up to something a year from now where we're going to have to actually make a formal decision. So I appreciate the extra work that this puts on the county staff. I'm sure, Alex, you just can't wait for the assessors to come around and tour the jail with you and so forth. So
it's actually fascinating. I learn something new every time I walk through with them. So it's all good.
It is a fascinating thing to do, I'm sure. So, okay, that has passed. I'll leave it to you folks to carry on and keep us informed about how it's going. And Jim Gailey, will you report this to the risk pool?
Yes.
Or do you need me to do it?
No, I will. I'll reference this vote this evening.
Okay, good.
Just a comment.
Yes,
I
go
think
ahead.
I think there's some deadlines, so you may have to do it by the end of this month.
I'll be all over in the next 48 hours.
Okay.
I kind of imagined that would be the case, but we'll press on. Do we have an executive session coming up?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. First off, I'm going to ask for a motion in a second to go into executive session. For those of you watching at home, if you're on the live stream, we will come out of the executive session at some point, but I'm not sure when that will be. It's kind of unpredictable. If you want to hang on to the live stream, it'll be I don't know what's going to play while we're off on an executive session. We will come out and possibly make a motion and a vote at that time. And then we'll go on to some other items, mostly comments from the county manager, the executive staff, and from county commissioners. For those of you who are watching online on the video replay, we'll be back in 20 seconds. So just hang on. So I'd love to have a motion to enter into executive session in accordance with 1 MRSA section 405(6)D for the opportunity to discuss negotiations.
So
So moved. Second.
I think Susan Matonis moves, Commissioner Cloutier seconds. I'll call the roll. Commissioner Witonis,
Yes.
Commissioner Jameson,
Yes.
Commissioner Cloutier,
Yes.